Hey guys, my name is Graham Stephan. I started off at 18 years old, not having any clue what I wanted to do, became a real estate agent, bought rental properties, and then ended up starting one of the largest personal finance channels on YouTube, and I'm one of the passionate few. I loved the interview today. I thought Omar's a fantastic interview, great speaker. It didn't seem like you had anything prepared, but it was so thorough. I was expecting you to have notes or something off to the side, constantly reading, because sometimes that's what I'll do. I'll ask questions, but I don't remember it in the moment. Flowed flawlessly. I really appreciate it. And I love how in depth you were able to get on some of these questions and really just getting to the root of why someone is successful and how they could build their own business.
Hey guys, welcome to this special episode of The Passionate Few. Today we have on a unique guest as we're in his studio in Las Vegas. None other than serial entrepreneur, real estate investor, and everyone's favorite YouTuber, Graham Stephan.
Thanks so much
for being
I
on
really
the show,
appreciate
dude.
it. Yeah, we make it easy on you. We plug in a hard drive and we're good to go.
Yes, we're at the famous iced coffee hour table, man. Stoked to have you.
Thanks.
Now, before we get started, I just want to give a quick and huge shout out to our sponsor, Mindcore Technologies. You see, the truth is, if you're a business owner going into 2023 and you're concerned with either having a cybersecurity breach, the frustration with finding IT solutions to your challenges, or you're just spending too much money on it, well, you're in luck because Mindcore Technologies can help you with exactly that. Want to find out more? Simply book a call in the description down below for your free cybersecurity assessment and IT audit.
So Graham, real quick, can you give the audience a little bit of context as to how big your YouTube channel is? I know you got multiple channels now, but just for some of the audience who shockingly may not know who you are, even though a lot of people do, can you give them context as to just how much content you guys are creating nowadays?
Gosh, it's a lot. So I don't even know. For YouTube, I think there's 5 channels. 3 of them we post on regularly, if you're not counting clips channels. So 5 channels. The main one's almost 4 million subscribers. The second one's 900,000. Third one's 300,000. That's the podcast. And then we've been going really heavy lately on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, and just repurposing a lot of that content on different platforms. So it's pretty massive.
And how old are you present day?
32. I have to think about that for a second.
32.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you started on YouTube to begin with?
26. Yeah, 20. It was December of 2016 was when I posted my first video. I didn't really get serious about it until January though, 2017.
And one thing that's super fascinating is you're super transparent online as to how you guys were able to generate money, grow the brand, and I think that's why a lot of people love and respect what you guys do. I know even the iced coffee hour, every episode starts out with the guest guessing what the revenue is at. You've been transparent about how you've made millions of dollars online. But take me back when you were 26 and trying to figure it out. I know you were doing real estate as an agent. You had tried a few different things. Take me back to where this all began for you, where you thought, I want to do something bigger with my life. I want to take it to the next level.
Well, at 26, I was 8 years into doing real estate. And at that time, I think I had purchased 4 rental properties. 3 were bought at the very bottom of the market. A lot of that was kind of lucky timing because I happened to have money and I happened to be wow, real estate seems like a pretty good deal.
You got in real estate when you were 18?
18. Yeah, so I got my license when I was 18 years old, and I worked full-time real estate at that point.
Were you broke when you started?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it broke, but I had worked throughout high school, so I had maybe, I don't know, 4 to 5 grand saved up by the time I was 18, and so I used some of that money to then get my real estate license, buy a minor stuff, some better fitting clothes and just stuff like that I thought would be important as an agent. But yeah, I had been working 8 years as a real estate agent, and it had been going really well. And 2015 or 14, so it's 24, 25, I joined the Oppenheim group, and that was when my income really took off, just because it was in a new environment. I think Jason Oppenheim really pushed me to continue to do better. Yeah, huge shout out to him. But yeah, I'd always wanted to do YouTube videos. So it wasn't that, things weren't going well as a real estate agent. I just, since 2009, I think YouTube had been my version of TV, and I had always looked up the people who had made YouTube videos, and I thought, oh man, that would be so cool. But I kept doubting myself, who'd want to listen to me? At the time, the best source of credibility was the guys with the Lambos on YouTube. I was who would listen to me? Because I don't have a Lamborghini. So people wouldn't take me seriously without a cool car. But after a while, I just thought, you know what? If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. And I just posted a video. I filmed it right before Christmas at an open house that was really slow.
I saw that, a house tour.
Yeah. And it was just, I just talked. Well, no, you didn't see that video is unlisted. So I made that video private. because I swore a lot in the video. Like I didn't think anyone would ever watch me. So like every few words was like an F word or like the S word. So now I don't swear. But yeah, back then I was very passionate about how I got started in real estate.
And I think that goes to show, because a lot of YouTubers, even Mr. Beast and a lot of the big guys, is like, you see that, now they have all these videos where people look at them and they're like, oh, I could never create a video like that. But if you go back to their first video, it's usually pretty bare bones, almost every YouTuber. Can you talk about like advice you have for people thinking about getting into YouTube who maybe have the same limited beliefs you did in the beginning? Like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not a, expert, or why would people listen to me, or, the quality's not good enough. What advice do you give people looking to start on YouTube, knowing what
I don't think it matters. Everyone's like, oh, you're so good on camera. You're so extrovert. I'm like, I'm not. It was just, it's all it is like 6 years of practice of doing it consistently.
You consider yourself more introverted or extroverted?
Oh, I'm 100% introverted. Yeah, I'm not. I film alone to a camera. Like I'm alone 8 to 10 hours a day in a room talking to a camera alone. Really, the only interaction I have is with Macy, Alex, or Jack every now and then. Like that's 80% of it.
And then podcasts occasionally.
Oh yeah, once a week we have a podcast.
So you start, and then right away you start catching momentum, or when did the bug for YouTube kind of bite for you, where you were like,
immediately.
Really?
When I first made that video, like I had no idea about filming, audio equipment, editing. So I just I filmed the video from my iPhone, and then I was like, okay, now I got to figure out how to edit it. So I learned iMovie was there for free, and I just did YouTube tutorials, learn iMovie, edited the video, posted it, and I've watched so much YouTube so that I got a good understanding of like what people want to see, what I would want to see, a good title, a good thumbnail. And I would say when I posted that video, I was like, wow, nothing bad happened to me. This is great. I'm going to post another one. And so I posted another one, and it was a stupid video. It's private now too, because of swearing. But I leased a house in West Hollywood, I think like for $50,000 a month. And the house didn't have any linens, kitchen utensils, like anything like this. And so I made a whole video about going to Target and spending like $1,200 to go and buy all of these things and then put them in the house. And I was like, it's not my job to do this, but I'm going to make the client happy, and it makes you look good. And my whole advice in that video was like, if you do if you ever do what's expected of you, no one ever gives you any credit for it. Even if it's like, hey, I'll pay you $100, do exactly this, you do a great job. It's expected, so it doesn't really register with people. But if you give them $150 worth of value for $100, then they're like, wow, this is crazy. This guy's so good. And they're going to refer you more business. So it's like, as long as you do more than what's expected, you'll do well. But I just loved it. And I figured like every few days I made it a goal to talk about something that I was into. And at the time, the big guys on YouTube were like Gary Vee, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, well, in the finance space. And it was very much this like flashy, showy sort of like, here's my private jet, here's my mansion. Right. And I took the opposite approach because I couldn't resonate with that. And I felt like a lot of it was just gimmicky. Sure. And so I was like, hey, you know what? I'll talk about what I'm into. And that was like remodeling duplexes and building a credit score, like the basic stuff without anything fancy.
Did you ever feel pressure, and I'm sure you still do to a degree, on balancing what you're interested in, passionate about, and what the algorithm likes and what people want? How did you sort of mitigate or balance that out early on, or have you just found a good way to kind of mix the two?
I would say for the first year was entirely, maybe the first year and a half was entirely what I wanted to see, and I only made videos that I thought were interesting. Like the one video that really ended up taking off for me was a passive income video. It was, I think at the time, like how I make $5.45 an hour, but I positioned it in such a way, it was like, here's how I make $5.45 an hour no matter what I do. Yeah. And those are the videos that I found interesting. But as the channel grew and all of a sudden I had an audience to cater to, I realized that like I was making videos for as a real estate agent, and those might only get like 10,000 views. But because I was making videos also on like credit cards and passive income, those get 50,000 views. And so there became a point where I was like, well, it doesn't make sense to make real estate agent videos anymore. The audience is too small. So I'm going to do this. And I constantly looked at like which videos are getting the most views and thinking, okay, well, that's the audience that is interested in those views. After a year and a half, I became very strategic of making the content that I believed the audience wanted to see and just honing that in. So I'll post a video. They liked it. If it got a lot of views, I'll make something similar and I'll keep expanding on that. But I really wanted to reach the biggest audience possible.
Was it always sort of enjoyable for you to create those videos, or have there been times, just being very vulnerable, have there been times where you've created content or a series of time has gone by and you just felt that creator burnout?
All the time. Yeah.
Really?
I would say it happens every few months. It's like an ebb and flow. Like there'll be a week where I just don't feel like it, or a day sometimes where I just don't feel like it, but you got to do it. Like I treat it very seriously, and it's just like going to the gym, where if I don't stay consistent at it, and I don't keep a very rigorous schedule, I'm gonna fall off. So.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Listen, we'll get right back to the video in a sec, but I just want to let you know that if you're watching this video and you're enjoying it, good, because that's exactly why we make these videos. And also, if you're a 7 to 8 figure entrepreneur and you're looking to grow your business with videos just like this, but maybe don't know how, or you've tried stuff and you're stuck, but you don't want to leave money on the table and you know you want content to be a part of your strategy, you just don't know how to grow that brand, grow your revenue, create videos, and scale your revenue with it, well, you're in luck, because we actually specialize in helping 7, 8, and 9 figure entrepreneurs do exactly that. So if you'd like to learn from those strategies and get a free personalized one-on-one session 100% free, you can simply book a call at the link in the description down below to learn more and hop on a call with our team to see how we might be able to help you. So anyways, just want to hop on here, let you guys know that, and thank you guys. But with no further ado, let's get right back to the show. Enjoy.
I figure, I may as well keep going. But yeah, there are video topics that I know that I'm not personally that interested in, but if the audience is, I'm going to make it. I think a good example is side hustle videos, passive income videos, income breakdown videos. Yeah, once you make like a few of those videos, they're all kind of the same, and they're a reiteration of, a previous one. But what I've noticed is that new subscribers never go back to watch the old content. So if you make something in 2018, even if it's still just as good and just as relevant, people will not watch it because, it's old. It's 4 years old. It's 2018. Got to make a new one. So I would say every year there's probably 20 videos that I'll remake for that next year, because not only do they attract a new audience, but all the newer subscribers have never seen those videos. So I just try to improve.
I love that. So you really treat it like a job, not like a lot of people who start necessarily and they go, oh, let me just throw it out and see what happens. You kind of like drilled it. And I know you talked about, I've listened to a bunch of your old interviews where you talked about the game changing for you when you started posting 3 times a week, right? Can you take me through like what was your posting schedule in the beginning, and then how did it evolve, and then where did you find the momentum with it? Just because I really want to give audiences watching some insight into Graham's mind,
Yeah, the first video was posted December 26, 2016. I think I waited a week to post the next one, and probably about a week to post the next one. And I just got obsessive with it. I just loved it. I had so much fun with it. Every comment I'd respond to with like a paragraph. I had notifications turned on, so every time I got a subscriber, it would go to my email, and I'd be like, "Wow, that's so cool!" and like thank them. So I loved it. It's just all I wanted to do, and it was something where I woke up and I was pissed that I had to work in real estate because I just want to make YouTube videos, and it was weird.
What is it about it?
I think for me too, as an agent, when you're like 8 years in it, a lot of it does start to feel repetitive to a certain extent. And I feel like YouTube was something new. It was like a very creative outlet for me. And I just got focused with it. And I think after about a month, I was like, I'm going to go to twice a week. Went to twice a week, and I started noticing like views doing better. I think at that point they turned on monetization. So I was like earning a little bit of money at the same time.
Your first check or the first AdSense where you were like, oh my God.
I don't. I remember the first day where I think it was like $183. That wasn't like my first day, but that was the first day where I realized like, oh wow, this could be something big. Prior to then, it was like 20 cents, 30 cents a day. But even then I was like, wow, hey, if I do this for, 30 days, this could, I remember even when it was $1 a day, and I was like, wow, that's an all you can eat sushi that I could buy every single month just from making YouTube videos. How crazy is this? So but $182 that one day was when I think a passive income video or something really got a lot of views in that day. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This could actually be something. I'm onto something here. And I think at that point I went to 3 videos a week, and I just kept that schedule.
And how long was it from when you started to when you started doing 3 times a week? Like when you started?
A few months, maybe 2-3 months.
And then you just kept that up?
I've kept that up consistently, yeah.
So how did you ideate all those ideas? Was it coming from you? Was it the audience's comments? How were you sourcing that? Because I think where a lot of people get stuck is they go, well, what do I talk about? How do I be different? What was your approach to that?
In the beginning, I answered every single comment. So until I hit 1 million subscribers, I was obsessive over it. I would answer every single comment when I woke up and before I went to bed. So I wouldn't go to bed until every comment was answered, until the time where I last answered comments, till 1 million subscribers. And I made that a goal. But by reading all the comments, you get to see like what people want to see more of and what their thoughts are on the video. So like I was constantly critiquing myself. Obviously you get the haters like, oh, this video sucks. But like when you screen those people out, you get like a really good indication of like, hey Graham, I like when you do this. I don't like when you do this. I want to see videos on this. And when you get a lot of comments on like the same topic, then you know, that's a video idea. But besides that, I was really into Reddit. I'd read probably 3 hours a day of just like random news stuff. And so I was able to pick the topics that I thought would be interesting in addition to what the comments are saying.
Now, how do you recommend people pick a niche? Like, obviously you picked the personal finance niche. Before that it was real estate, and you knew the audience wanted that. There's a lot of people who want to start on YouTube, and I'm sure you get millions of people telling you like, oh, I want to start a YouTube, Graham, you inspire me. What advice do you have for people who are trying to like find their niche, get momentum? Do you think it's important to kind of start out a little imperfect, experiment a little bit, or what's Stephan's best advice to start on YouTube?
I was talking about something where I would talk about it regardless of how many views I got, how many subscribers. Like, I just had so much fun with it. And even in that first year, if I had only gotten a few hundred subscribers, like, I would have been stoked about that. And I think a lot of people make content thinking like, oh man, I want this to get, 1 million views or 100,000 views. I'm just going to blow this up and this is going to be so great. And then when they don't do that, they're like, oh, this sucks. But I think if you really enjoy the content that you're making and would do it regardless, you'll persevere long enough to usually break through. But then there's also, you have to be strategic about it. You can't just make, videos on, I was about to say on ants, but those ant videos are pretty cool. But you can't just make a video and like, here's this water bottle for years and be like, why is no one viewing it? Like, you also have to make content that an audience would want to watch in addition to doing something you're interested in. It's a balance.
What's the most, I guess, insightful thing you've realized being on this side of the fence? Because I'm sure years ago, if you saw the Graham today with 4 million subscribers, you'd be like, oh my God, how was that even possible? Being on this side of the fence, what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about you and what it takes to have the kind of success you've had on YouTube and then later with the business?
I would just say it never really turns off. Like, I'm constantly thinking about videos. I don't think the only time I could really shut my mind off is if I'm like sitting there watching a movie or something like that, and maybe I could like tune out a little bit. But for the most part, like, I'm always thinking about it. I guess it was the same thing as a real estate agent, whereas like I was constantly thinking of like, when's the next sale going to come and which client should I follow? Like, there's always something. So I would just say it's, I'm mentally always on, just thinking like everything is about like, oh, what video ideas? Oh, that would make a great thumbnail. Even if I'm just watching YouTube casually, I'm like, that's a great thumbnail. I like that. What makes me want to click on that video?
I love that, dude. And then, so just to go back to the revenue side of things, you start gaining momentum. You start December 2016. How long is it before you make your first, $100,000 or first kind of momentum?
Probably a year and a half. I don't know. I just know like year by year. The first year was $26,000, and that's what I made from January to December 2017. 2018. Oh man, now I forget. It was like 250. I think it was 250. Probably
just off AdSense revenue.
No, I think that was everything. I think that because I came out with a program then. A program wasn't much. I mean, the first one bombed. I mean, I learned a lot doing that. But
was it a course you were selling?
Yeah, so I made a program on how to be a real estate agent and how to get your first $100,000 in commission. But it was so niche, and I spent so long. I spent like 6 months doing this thing. I basically worked until probably 2 o'clock in the morning every single night for months on end, just to get this done without missing an upload on the channel, and while working as a real estate agent.
Wow.
And I released it, and the first launch day, I sold 1. And I was like, oh Christ. So I got everything wrong on that one. At no fault of the course. It was just like, how many people in my audience really want to be a real estate agent? And it was just too niche.
Yeah.
Too niche. But yeah, 250 was probably the second one.
How did you start diversifying revenue? Was it affiliates? Was it sponsors? I mean, could you walk people through the sort of evolutions or iterations of revenue with leveraging YouTube?
Yeah. So I purposely, up until 100,000 subscribers, the only money I was making for YouTube was just ad revenue. I didn't sell a single thing, and I was very against it in the beginning. From that to almost 1 million subscribers, maybe. It was just that, and then I came out with the YouTube Creator Academy program. And that one did well, but it was much more broad and generic. And then after about 1 million subscribers, I started doing small sponsorships. I think Simply Safe was one of the first ones. Was it Grammarly? No, I think it was like Audible. Those sort of sponsorships.
Sure.
But yeah, for the longest time, it was really just AdSense. And then over time, it's just like, oh, well, I guess I could do this too. And I didn't know that existed. And, I experimented with affiliates here and there. And a lot of it just, expanded over time. Like I had no clue what I was doing, so I was just figuring it out.
Imperfect action.
Yeah.
I love that you say that. And then you started developing your own businesses. And I know like even now, a lot of people know Bankroll Coffee, which is freaking awesome. But talk to me about like the psychology of starting your own business and why you decided to kind of take that leap to go from affiliates to your own products.
Yeah. Well, Bankroll Coffee, I think, was really just a passion project. I would not call that like a huge business by any means. It's a passion project that we just reinvest all the money we make back into the business, and it's fun. But that was started with something like I have no intention of, if it sells for $1 quadrillion, great. But if not, I think it's fun. I think it's a great product that people like, and we have a really high reorder rate. So I think 55% of people who buy on Bankroll Coffee will order again. And are just repeat business. So like chances are, if you buy a Bankroll Coffee, like you'll come back for more. And I think that's just a combination of the packaging. It's good coffee, and it's affordable relative to all the other coffees on there. But besides that, I've really started to just take a backseat approach to the whole business side of things. My passion is YouTube videos, so I've cut out almost every other aspect of that. Business wise, just not happy with it. I'm just
more fulfilled creating.
Yeah. I just love sitting on the couch making videos. Like that's really where I'm happiest with just nothing. I just like that.
Yeah. And also too, I know one thing that's been huge is so many people love how cost effective you are and how much you teach stuff, like how you got your Tesla, right? And you have all these strategic types of tips. Were you always a little more frugal and careful with your money? Did that change as you started making millions of dollars on YouTube? Like, do you find yourself kind of like spending a little more here and there, or have you been able to kind of stay grounded in those?
I mean, obviously I spend more, but in terms of probably a percentage of my income, it's probably less. I probably spend a lower percentage now than I did back then. But yeah, back then, like it was bad. I would go to car shows, and all my buddies want to go to this restaurant, and I was thinking, no, I had a budget that day. I had a limit. Like I don't want to spend more than like $20, and I had spent money on gas. So I was like, well, I already hit that limit spending it on gas. So I'm going to buy a Subway instead and take it to the restaurant. And I did that. And I just asked him for a plate. And it was a big group, like 20 people. So it wasn't like it was just me and a person. But yeah, I brought my Subway and I ate it on a plate just because I didn't want to pay $30 for a meal, but I'd pay $5 for the sandwich. And so I was like, wow, I just saved $25 doing that. This is great. Now it's, there's nothing much I'd spend. Like everything I spend money on usually makes more money back. So like, let's just say the Ford GT was an expense that I never would have done before, but it's been a really great investment. Or like a Tesla Roadster, that's been hopefully a good, we'll see after a few years, but like that's a store of value. I see it as that. So everything I buy usually is either going to make me money back or is going to be a good value. But I hate losing money. So the only things that I'll openly lose money on, the aquarium, just because that's so much fun. I really enjoy that. And then just like, what else? All you can eat sushi is just something, but it's like $30. That's like $30. Yeah.
Now, so for you, like when it comes to the YouTube success, have you found that like it has changed for you or evolved over the years? Is the love still the same? Do you video ideate differently? What's been the biggest difference in terms of your mental approach to YouTube?
It's definitely a lot more strategic now, and you have to be because the space is competitive. And
how has it changed over the last couple of years?
In the very beginning, there were maybe only like 3 people making finance content, and that was it. So you could post anything, and everything was new because it didn't exist on YouTube. Like you make a video about like a Roth IRA, there's no competition, nobody's talked about it, it's brand new. And so everything you make is like, wow, this cool revolutionary concept. But today there are hundreds of creators out there who are consistently posting content. And in the finance space, there's not that much to talk about. Like every day there might only be 2 to 3 things to talk about in a day that are worthwhile to comment on. So when you have 100 creators all going after those same 3 things, you have to stand out in some way. And so a lot of times there will be overlap between creators. And a lot of that's just coincidence. But then you also have to differentiate yourself. I can't be as fast as someone who can live stream it or just, a minute after it happens, talk to a camera for 10 minutes about it. I can't do that. I like to be planned, scripted, think about what I'm going to say, do the research, find the facts. And so you have to be like really fast on it and have the best video. It's competitive now. So it's a combination of being way more competitive, but also coming at it with a different angle and maybe finding a topic that other people aren't thinking of.
And I think it's important too. I'm curious your thoughts for people who are starting to really think about it from a long-term perspective, right? Especially nowadays, you said it's a lot more competitive. So if people, like you said, they go into it and they're like, oh, these first videos are going to bang, but you know, it might take 6 months to catch momentum. And if you don't enjoy it, you may never make that 6-month threshold. I'm curious for you, like your approach with videos, I've seen it and I'm like, dude, Graham is phenomenal at breaking down stuff simply. Do you like jump cut the videos like one sentence at a time, or like what's your approach when you're creating content to keep the retention so sticky?
Script.
So you
So,
script
oh
it
yeah,
one line
everything.
at a
Yeah,
time,
I probably
teleprompter?
spend no teleprompter. So I probably spend 8 to 10 hours per video scripting it out. And for me, that's the edit. And I could like, I view every script as though it's a video, and so like I'll script it out, and then I'll read it back, and I
Literally
think
word for word.
word for word, I'll just read it as though I'm speaking it in a video. And I said, does that make sense? Do those words make sense together? Is this repetitive? Do I need to say this? And I'll cut it out. Or if I say a sentence, I'm like, that sounds kind of confusing. I'll spend, whatever amount of time rewording that. And then once I get the script, then what I do is I try to memorize like a few sentences to a paragraph at a time, and I'll just read it and then talk it back to the camera, and then read it, talk it back to the camera. The teleprompter, I've tried it in 2 videos, and it's like you could usually see your eyes going like from side to side if it's not like perfect, and it sounds a little too robotic. So when you memorize something and repeat it back, it sounds more like I'd be speaking it than a teleprompter where you're just reading word for word.
And then for you, when you're like scripting that stuff out, how often do ideas not make the cut where you invest and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to do this now?
Rarely. If I spent 8 to 10 hours scripting, I better be posting that video. Yeah, because it's too big of a time investment for me not to use it. I would say I've come up with video ideas where I've looked into it for 30 minutes and be like, nah, there's nothing here. So that happens, but usually by the time I decide on something, I'm going to post it.
And how big is your team or your operation right now? Do you have people helping you edit, video ideate, all that, or is it just you?
Kind of. So I have Alex, who helps edit the main channel videos, and he's responsible for editing probably 80% of those videos, maybe 90% of those videos. And there's a few that I just want to edit myself, or we're on a time crunch. I'll be like, don't worry, I'll get it. So Alex, and then we have Jack, who does a lot of the back end and the podcast co-host for the Iced Coffee Hour. So Jack's job is he coordinates the editing for the Graham Stephan Show videos, the second channel videos, and the podcast, and just coordinating with making sure everything is good on the podcast side.
Wow, very cool. So for you now, like as you see the landscape of YouTube, if you were to start from scratch, someone wrote in, we said we're going to be interviewing you, so they wrote in this question. They said if Graham was to start again today on YouTube fresh in the the way the competitive landscape that it's in now, if you were going from 0 to 1 million subscribers, how would Graham Stephan do it? What would be his plan of attack?
Probably shorts. I think a lot of people aren't utilizing shorts, including myself. I think there's a lot of potential in that all the creators like me are like very stuck in their ways of like, hey, long form content is the best. We're just going to be doing this. I feel like a lot of people aren't really taking shorts as seriously as they would a video. And I think if someone came out there and took a short, the same approach as like a long form video, but you make it 45 seconds to a minute, you do really well. The downside though is that you don't cultivate that sort of audience.
Deeper,
that there's something special about like watching somebody for 15 minutes a day versus 45 seconds as you're skimming through. But I think there's an approach to doing that where you could build an audience as long as you leverage it appropriately. But yeah, to go from 0 to 1 million, I mean, that's how I do it.
What do you think most people do wrong on YouTube?
I think they try to chase the big topics, hoping that like, oh, this is the breakout video for me. And it's like everything is like a scratch off lottery ticket. Oh, if I make this video, it's going to break out. That's not a good approach. Or they just flat out copy other people. I would say
you have so many people.
Oh my gosh, it's yeah, and it comes with the territory. But I see it where I post a video within a week. There are probably a dozen other creators who post the exact same video, usually with an almost identical title, thumbnail. Almost identical content. And sometimes I'm thinking, do they just watch the video and then just like rephrase it? I mean, but like you can't grow doing that. And I'm sure you could actually build a decent business doing that. But like at what point does that just become unsustainable? So I think finding your own niche or doing it differently. Because there's not that many topics to talk about in personal finance. So like we're all going to cover the same topic. Yeah. So you could cover so it's like cover the same topic, but put your spin on it, make it different, give your own thoughts.
Have that X factor that makes you.
There's got to be something. There's got to be something different, or it's got to be better. Like I've always taken the approach that if I can't make content that's better than somebody else, I'm not going to make it.
I love that. I think that's so powerful.
So yeah, and there's been a few times where like other channels have just like, I've wanted to make a video on that, but I'm like, you know what, they covered it perfectly. Like if I did a video, it couldn't be superior to theirs or couldn't even match the quality of theirs. So like, what do I have to add to that? Nothing.
Yeah.
So I always try to I try to make it better. I try to improve what I can.
Dude, I love that. Now, what's your advice to business owners who want to get on YouTube and grow their brand? How important do you think it is for businesses to leverage YouTube more so than any other platform? Or do you even think?
It depends on the bit. It depends on the business. You know, like I think maybe a local business might be tougher, but TikTok is a great place to do that for local businesses.
Well, I guess like service-based businesses, right?
Yeah. I mean, any online business is really easy. Like those slime videos are like so easy to make a cool slime video and like sell a whole bunch of those.
Right, yeah.
If you're like a mom and pop dry cleaner, it might be harder. I think TikTok is really good about going to like, you know, a local audience. Like if you're here in Vegas, you're going to get Vegas TikToks. And, you know, as a dry cleaner, if you have like a really cool video of like ironing a shirt, there's rug cleaning videos. I'm not sure if you've seen those, where they show a dirty rug and they like clean it up. Yeah, I love those. And like those people will get my business. So I do think it's important, but I wouldn't spend too much time trying to be like, oh, I want to build the YouTube channel around the business. I think it's just should be supplemental to the business.
What are your thoughts on, from all the platforms, you know, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all these different platforms? Why do you think YouTube is number one?
I think their recommended on the homepage is really powerful. They've already cultivated a really big audience who's like on YouTube. And there's nothing else for long form content like that. Like if you want to watch a video over 10 minutes long, YouTube is the place to do that. They also have a good search feature. They are the best when it comes to like, if you want to learn how to do something like how to repair a sprinkler, just YouTube that, how to repair, like guarantee there's someone who made a video about that. Yeah. Any topic you could imagine, like how to fix a vacuum cleaner. There's vacuum cleaner review channels. So
YouTube is the world's second largest search engine owned by Google, which is the first.
So I think it makes sense that, at some point everything is just going to be like, instead of Googling something, YouTube something. It's like, how do I fix this? What do I do on this? And there'll be someone to explain it. So, but I think they have to balance that and then also getting people to stay on the platform longer, which TikTok is doing a great job at. So
True.
It's going to be a balance to see how they pivot or what they do to compete with TikTok. Because I think now it's like more Gen Zs is going towards TikTok, or they're spending more time on TikTok than YouTube.
Yeah, quicker entertainment.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't think that's YouTube's strength, but how do they compete against that?
Yeah, exactly.
Or how do they get to that level?
Yeah, because before a lot of the argument was, with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it's like you post something and then it has a 24, 48 hour sort of entertainment value. Whereas YouTube, you can get recommended a YouTube video from 10 years ago, 10 months ago, 10 weeks ago, 10 days ago. So YouTube has that kind of longevity factor. But like you're saying with TikTok, now it's starting to keep people on the platform longer. So it will be interesting to see how they compete for sure.
I agree. Yeah, everyone's going that route though with like Instagram Reels.
Do you see yourself pivoting to more shorts or kind of staying true to like what got you in momentum, or what's your kind of approach?
I mean, as of right now, it's continuing the long form content, but I should be supplementing that with shorts.
What were some of the biggest challenges in growing the business to, you guys have generated millions of dollars, almost I'm sure multiple seven figures by now, right? What has been the biggest challenge in growing for you personally, or the biggest challenge in growing YouTube and the business?
I feel like there hasn't been a challenge. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's there's never really been a point where it's like been challenged. I mean, there's fun challenges of like, how can I make this video better? Never thought of it like that. It's always been something for me that I've just enjoyed.
That's worth it. Yeah.
I would say 10% of the time, I wake up that day and I'm just not in the mood. I've got to get out a video. I just don't feel like it. But that's with anything. But 90% of the time, I don't think about it. I love making videos. I'm like, as long as I post 3 videos a week, that's all I'm focused on. It's just that.
I love that. And then the money's a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
You're adding value.
Yeah.
Now you have 5 channels, you said?
5, but 3 now. I've cut 2, but
What have you learned with that? And when do you think is the right time to diversify creating a channel? Like, do you think channels should have like one kind of format they follow? Do you think it's okay to get experimental? Like, what have you learned as to the best approach as to when's the right time to diversify?
You got to cultivate to the audience. So no, I don't think it's usually a good idea to throw a whole bunch of random stuff on the channel, because then you have people not watching certain videos and that hurts the algorithm. When they see you have 100,000 people and only 5,000 people watch this video, 5,000 watch this, 5,000 watch this. It's going to look at the ratio and be like, well, only a small portion of your audience is watching this. Probably not a good video. We're not going to push it. Obviously, there's always exceptions to that, but I prefer keep one format on the channel at all times, grow that audience so they know what to expect, because you don't want to subscribe to a channel and be like, what am I getting today? I don't know. It's pretty obvious throughout every channel. You know exactly what you're going to get when you see a video. It's going to follow the same format on similar topics that you might be interested in. So I kept the main channel up until about 1 million subscribers, and then that's when I made the second channel, the Graham Stephan Show, and that was reaction videos. I had looked up to like channels like Cody Ko or Drew Gooden. Those guys, I thought, oh man, that's so funny. I enjoy those, like the reaction aspect to it. So started reacting to finance videos. And that did well. And I enjoy it. I mean, that's just so easy for me just to be able to turn on the camera and just react to something for like 30 minutes. So simple. And I enjoy it.
And it's important, I think, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, to test out different stuff, right? So you don't get stuck trying to create one type of thing, but then maybe it works or it works to a point.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was just about diversifying and thinking, well, if something happens to the main channel, I have another channel that I could fall back on.
A backup and a backup. And a
backup. And then for the podcast was something entirely different. Like that's an hour-and-a-half long discussion usually.
I love the iced coffee. So good.
Yeah, so it does seem like there's a filter through like the main channel. And then from that, people will either go to the Graham Stephan Show and or the iced coffee hour. And it's good to be able to serve different needs for different people that want to hear different things.
Dude, I love that. Sounds like you have such a busy schedule.
It is, yeah.
To date, if you feel comfortable sharing, how much have you made off of YouTube overall since you started in 2016?
I mean, over 10 million. I couldn't tell you the exact number, but it's over that.
And from that, most of it has come from, has it come from the business side or like the AdSense revenue sponsor side?
I mean, probably all of it. AdSense, sponsorships, affiliates, random things, program sales, probably 2 million of that.
It's all over the place. Yeah.
It's all over the place. Yeah.
Dude, that's a lot to manage. What's your daily schedule look like to manage it all?
Usually 8 to 6, sometimes 8 to 7, Monday through Friday. Saturday, Sundays, usually I'll take 2 half days. So like on a perfect weekend, I'd wake up at like 7, work until 12 to 1, and then have the rest of the day off, and then do that again on Sunday. I like just maintaining the same schedule every day. So like I hate sleeping in. I like just, I'll be up at 7 every day or 7:30, whatever time it is. And that's my schedule. I'll go to bed around the same time every day and just be consistent.
I love that, dude. So before we wrap up here, I have 2 more questions. Number one is, for the Graham who was back in 2016, like a lot of men and women watching this at any age, who are trying to get momentum, find their thing, live their passion, right? Your passion was YouTube, and you've grown it phenomenally well. What advice would you have for people who are kind of maybe struggling to get started, or maybe they stop on YouTube and they really want to get momentum? Being on this side of the fence with, having made, over $10 million, millions of subscribers, millions of fans. I was even at VidSummit. I saw how much people loved your stuff. Yeah. It was awesome. Props to that.
Thank you. Yeah.
What advice would this Graham here, with this context you have, give to somebody out there looking for answers, trying to get momentum, trying to break through the noise?
It sounds stupid, but I feel like it shouldn't be hard. Like it really should not be a struggle. I mean, obviously there are going to be creative challenges, but like I loved it. Every YouTuber that I know or that I've seen be successful, like it was never hard for them. And it was always something that they just had fun doing. I don't think anybody went into it thinking I'm going to make a lot of money, I'm going to get a lot of subscribers. Like everybody that I've seen anecdotally just loved making YouTube videos. They loved the process. And it just so happened that that resulted in them making money and doing well. So I think if anyone is ever just thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to post X amount of videos, I'm going to make X amount of money and subscribe, it's like, I wouldn't even start. Like, it's not worth your time. You have to love what you do and be obsessed with it. And you have to be like that in love with what you're doing to be able to, because you have to like stick with it. Exactly. And there were so many times where, Bitcoin went up and I'd be like, sorry, buds, we can't hang out tonight. Bitcoin is up. I got to get this video out tomorrow. And they understood. And you're like, oh yeah, no worries. See you the next day. It doesn't matter. But like, you have to be that disciplined to be able to know what comes first and love it that much.
Do you see most people kind of mess up in the context of like trying too hard to like, oh, I got to create videos to get clients or I have to make money? Like they put so much pressure on it that it blocks the joy from it. Does that make sense?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I think some of that is taking creative risks, and I'm
Sure.
guilty of that too, because when you find a format that works so well, it becomes really scary to deviate from that and
Sure.
try something new. And you're like, and a lot of it is not so much the audience, but it's the algorithm that I'm the most terrified of, because it's like I've noticed if you have two bad performing videos in a row, your overall views decline sometimes by up to 30%, only as a result of two bad videos in a row. So like you could afford to mess up once, not twice. So like one bad video, the next one better make up for that.
And that would
so
be
that's what I've
gauged by
noticed.
what, retention, audience retention?
I don't know what it is. I have theories that YouTube has like tiers for which they give certain creators different amount of views. Like I've seen some channels, and I've seen the back ends of almost every, not like that, but like the back end creator aspect of every channel that I've had on the podcast. And I've seen like, they shouldn't be getting that consistent amount of views every single video, regardless of the topic. And there are some that I just can't explain. They'll get 1 million views no matter what they post. So I have a theory that YouTube maintains a tier of how many views they give each creator based on some sort of ranking or algorithm that they have on the back end. And when you get a video that reaches beyond that tier, sometimes it'll push you up to a new view bracket. And I've noticed this for me too. Every time I've had a big video, I get boosted up to a different algorithm tier. And if I stay in that and I continue with that momentum, I could get boosted up to the next one. And like you see these tiers where all of a sudden it'll be like an instant boost and it'll stay there. CoffeeZilla is a great example of that. He made that video about the FaZe Clan, boosted him up to a different algorithm tier, and he stayed there, and then boosted up another one. And he's like, now he could post almost anything and get 500 to 800,000 views no matter what he posts. And it's about the same day over day, because I watch every channel. But here's the thing. I think if he posts a few bad videos in a row that don't reach that audience, and chances are he's got to do something crypto related. But if he doesn't do that, then he could get bumped down. So my theory is that, I don't know where I was going with this, what led this up, but I forget.
Your theory with it is that like basically people get ranked differently in the tiers.
Yes.
With algorithms. How have you seen it change the most over the years? Or is it they don't tell you, so you just...
They don't tell you. Originally, like before COVID, it was long tail videos. So all I cared about was making a video that would be relevant 3 years from now. And that worked really well. And up until March, it was like every video was like, I tried to rank on the first page of searches, like Roth IRA, how to invest in real estate, stock market investing. Like I just want to rank on the first page, top 3 results, and I'd be good. And then I noticed COVID happened. All of a sudden, YouTube stopped recommending all of those videos. And it was so weird because I saw my income drop by, it was either 50 to 70%, almost overnight. And I was like, oh crap, well, I guess this is it. This is the end of it, you know.
I had a good run.
Yeah, I honestly, I was like fully prepared. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I started testing long form videos again, and they would die after 24 hours, whereas usually they stay somewhat consistent. And that's when I realized that all of a sudden YouTube was pushing news and current events that were only relevant for like 24 to 48 hours. And I think with COVID, people were checking in so often that they just wanted new content. So the algorithm adapted to that within days. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to make news content now, or I'm going to cover topics that are happening day to day. And that ended up doing better than the long form content. But the downside is that like you have to keep posting because those topics are dead after 2 days. And when you go more than a few days without posting, I don't know what it is. It seems like the next video doesn't get as many views when you go a few days without posting. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, I love that, dude. There's so much to the anatomy of videos. And even I noticed, I used to love your videos. The reason actually that I first subscribed and got into them was because obviously I watched them, but I loved in the beginning that you would always do, hey Graham, it's guys, or you do that
what's up, guys,
instead of hey guys, it's Graham. So like little things like that, you did that intentionally to hook, or was it the first time you did that on accident?
No, someone commented. They commented that as a comment, like "What's up, Graham? It's guys here" as a comment. I'm like, oh, that's funny. I'm gonna say that, and I said it. And then people are like, Graham, you're copying someone else. I was like, I've never seen anyone else. Like, chances are on YouTube, someone else has done it first.
Yeah. Okay. And then before we wrap up here, we always play a little game called First Things First. So the way the game works is I'm going to rifle off a quick word or phrase, and then you just tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind. It could be a thought or whatever. Make sense?
Sure.
The only rule is that you can't repeat yourself twice. Okay? So word number 1, YouTube.
Algorithm.
2, passion.
YouTube.
3, the key to a good thumbnail.
Photoshop.
The key to a good title.
Hook.
The biggest misconception that people have about what it takes to be a successful YouTuber.
Easy.
The biggest limiting belief you had to overcome.
Good enough. It's 2 words.
Your favorite video you've made so far?
Ben Mala.
Oh, the Ben Mala video?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sick. Worst video you've ever made, or video you're the least proud of that's still on the channel, or feel like it could have been way
The one that I could think of is Tesla Autopilot.
The future of Graham Stephan.
Dave Ramsey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like his longevity, his career.
Welcome to the Dave Ramsey
Yeah.
show. Better than I deserve.
Better than I deserve. Yeah.
All right, last question. What do you hope people take from your story if they're inspired to take their life to the next level? What do you hope people learn from your example?
Is this one word or just like
Word, phrase, thought, whatever. Feel free to be long-winded on this one.
just do it? I mean, don't overthink it.
Mhm.
But you gotta love it. I mean, if don't, I wouldn't. It sounds so stupid. I wouldn't follow the money. I mean, I didn't do that when I started making YouTube videos. It was just for fun. Even as a real estate agent, like I never followed like, oh, I want to make a ton of money. I loved it. I just had so much fun doing it. So I've always just followed what I've enjoyed doing, and
then $10 million just showed up.
pretty much. I mean, the money's a good byproduct. But I mean, I like making money. But
Sure.
If I was miserable doing this, I wouldn't do it. Like
Mhm.
if I hated my life, I couldn't continue because there'd be no amount of money that would compensate for that.
And if you were making less money, you'd probably still do it anyways, too.
I would. Yeah.
When we met Mr. Beast in Vid Summit, I remember him telling me that. He was like, dude, if I made no money, I would still be trying to make the exact same videos. Like,
Yeah.
It's purely out of love.
Yeah.
So, I love that, man. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Graham.
I really
appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
being on the podcast.
No, definitely.
Guys, make sure to follow Graham Stephan if you don't already. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you learned from this episode. Until next time, live strong, live with passion, and we'll see you guys in the next inspiring episode.